pattern. It's basically forming this, again, almost like a range of support and resistance as it's crafting out this bottom and reversing to the upside. So again, we have that bullish reversal there. And then as far as a head and shoulders bottom, some might call this an inverse head and shoulders. It looks a little bit like a triple bottom pattern, but the two sides are called the shoulders. So think of a person with their shoulders about the same level, their head at a little bit of a higher level. That's what we're seeing with the inverse head and shoulders or head and shoulders bottom. Price is coming down before it bottoms out and then trades up thereafter to the upside. So bullish reversal.
Rachel, does it ultimately matter what type of these patterns, whether it's a double bottom or a triple bottom or a head and shoulders or an inverted head and shoulders pattern, does it really matter the pattern that exists, or is it more important to pay attention to the fact that it's a change in direction or a potential change in direction?
Yeah, I mean, one of the main things to pay attention to, and this is kind of why we're focusing on this, is obviously the price. And you can see as these patterns are forming, we can't tell whether they're complete or not until it actually breaks out of the pattern. So until then, you can call it a possible pattern. But the important thing that we can look for is that it is an impending reversal that is taking place. And then we have to wait for confirmation that upside break of resistance to actually call it a pattern.
That's really something interesting, and I think you said something very important there that maybe we didn't catch, and that is, it is an impending reversal. But oftentimes we get caught up in this narrative of saying, hey, you know what? I know for sure, because somebody on the news or somebody in a YouTube channel or something said, hey, that's a triple bottom, and that means for sure the price of the stock is going to go higher, that it's going to turn around and it's going to move back in an upward direction. But the word impending doesn't guarantee that the price of the stock is going to turn around. And that's where we get back again to levels of support and resistance. We expect that when price gets to a resistance, or when price gets to a support, that it's going to bounce and do something, but it never guarantees it, does it?
No, it does not, which is why you have to be really patient sometimes. So with these patterns, I think the important thing, and I mean, even with technical analysis, the most important thing about technical analysis is that it's not to predict price action, it's to react to it. So we wait for this pattern to complete, we wait for our confirmation, that's then when we can take action. But we don't want to jump the gun before the pattern's even complete, before we've seen our confirmation.
And so that's where that sets up the idea of being able to make that if this, then that statement around these price patterns. So again, just like when we were looking at candlesticks, and we were saying, okay, cool. Now I've been able to identify trend direction and time frame, and now I've been able to identify a particular type of candlestick or story that candlestick is telling me at or near a level of support, near a level of resistance. I'm now anticipating what could potentially happen and say, if price does this, then this is how I'm going to react. The same thing plays itself out in these price patterns relative to support and resistance. If I see price finding a support level a couple of times, or 3 times, or 4 times, or creating this type of price pattern, then we create an if this, then that statement around it, right?
Exactly.
And one of the things that again, this is one of the indicts about technical analysis is, oh, well, you could draw pictures and draw lines to make it fit whatever you think is going to happen. And the reality of that is, yeah, that's probably true. Number one, we tend to kind of curve fit or fit what's going on, fit the data to what our expectations are. But as long as we're acting upon the reality of what's going on, we're not getting it in anticipation of, but we're taking action based on evidence of something happening, then that becomes a more effective situation, right?
Exactly.